Shalom, Rastafari. Yes, as we were speaking on the that Ethiopian Hebrew connection, and we were speaking about Father Aduma, and that we were a little bit reluctant on going into that, because we had seen so much, that Father Aduma being that red color of the red heifer and its purity in the pure form, and this high cleansing method that there is for the Father Aduma. This high cleansing that there is for the Father Aduma, or the red heifer. And what's interesting about the Father Aduma, as we were speaking about that redness, and in Amharic, and this is why it's important to study the pure language of the King of Kings and take it back to Ethiopia. You know what I mean? Take it back to the roots. Like Amos 9 and 7. You know what I mean? Take it back to the roots, and when we take it back to the roots, we're able to see that these words, going from the Hebrew, going into the Amharic, into the pure language of the King of Kings. And we also like to keep a Metzahafa Kadus, because like here we're dealing with the IOTA software here, and then we like to make sure the places that is accurate with the King of Kings, in the pure language of the King of Kings, and his message that he delivered. Because sometimes they have I don't think it I think it was maybe like once or twice, I think, like some differences, and I had to ask the elders or the brethren that are wise in that. I'm sure that they know which ones we're speaking about, but there were certain words, but still, we keep the pure language of the King of Kings handy, just in case we might come over, a word that is different, or something that is different than the way that the King of Kings presented it, because of certain mistakes that ones make. You know what I mean? But when we go into the root, as we were speaking about the words, the words, and then the Father Aduma, coming from the Father Aduma into this Torah portion, which is black. And the black Torah portion, it kind of lets us see the two types of black, like the black persons, those who are made fully Israel, who there was no divination against, who could not be cursed. And then we also see those who walk in the way of, like, the soothsayers, the prophets for hire. You know what I mean? Even I had a few times spoke of Balaam like a false prophet, but he's not necessarily a false prophet, but what he is a prophet that can be hired. A prophet that can be hired to curse, to try to curse Israel, to try to curse the people. So this root, another thing that happened during this Torah portion, in the last Torah portion, actually, in the Father Aduma, was the passing away of Miriam. And it's interesting because in Numbers 12, Miriam was the one who was against Moses marrying the Ethiopian woman. And we know that signification also with the church. You know what I mean? Understanding the true principles of the Tawahedo church. That oneness of Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Yahad, or Tawahedo, that principle, that custom, being of his imperial majesty. You know what I mean? From the bloodline of David, was of the custom, of the true custom of the Feta Nagesh, or the law of the kings that were instituted by the Almighty from the beginning. Institutions that began, that were civilized, that were christened by the Almighty from the beginning. And we see this when we see his imperial majesty. So when we see the bloodline passed down to QEDAMAWI, HAILE Selassie, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, his imperial majesty, QEDAMAWI, HAILE Selassie, we see that bloodline passed down, or we see that seed line passed down. We see that connection. Okay, so the Father Aduma, and then the fact that Adam was raised up from the Afar, and then, and with this respect to the original creation, just respecting the fact that the black man was original creation, yes, and that he had his laws and things that were commanded to the people to live by, to be instituted by. You know what I mean? The establishment of the Almighty and the laws and the rules and the codes that he gave men to live by, you know, that made them pure, you know, in their pure form before the fall of man. That man was made originally in a pure form, in a good form. Yahweh made man good, and from the Afar, Though Farra Aduma is the law, right? The law of cleansing, or the law of purification. You know what I mean? So this purification or the cleansing, and then prepares us for that edge of the wilderness scene, even here with Balak or Moab. So we also learning in Romans chapter 11 how the people they have on one part, for the sake of the gospel, for the truth of the gospel, they're hated. But for the sake of the election, for the Father's sake, for the patriarch's sake, and give thanks to Wyndham Eisen, because we were speaking about the patriarchs of Israel coming to that main patriarch, QEDAMAWI, HAILE SELASSIE, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, the king of kings of Ethiopia, the last king to sit on the throne of David before Ethiopia, the coup, took Ethiopia down, and Ethiopia broke down into tribalism and states, and basically suffered the Red Terror and many evils, and haven't had it together since then, since 74. And we are glad that more information is actually coming out. Now, what we were speaking about, like we were saying, because we wanted to go into the, you know, we noticed it that when we were looking into the pure language of the King of Kings, we noticed these differences with the words in the Hebrew, that they're actually hidden mysteries. And so we give thanks to Romans 11 and 25 with the beginning of this Torah portion, which says, "For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, this mystery, this mystere, lest you should be wise in your own conscience or in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, into the fullness of the Gentiles be come in." And then it brings us back also to Genesis 14, what Abraham was, Genesis 14 and Genesis 15, where it says that just know that Israel will be captive under the Amorites for 400 years until the iniquity of the Amorites be full, you know, to the iniquity of the Amorites being fulfilled. And then looking over into the West Country, into Babylon, into the blonde-haired, blue-eyed tribe, like Ethiopia actually names, because many other tribes don't actually have the names of the Canaanites and their races and have it broken down like it is in Ethiopia. And we also still see this game that the you know, through racism they're playing, trying to act like they don't know that the children of the Ethiopians are black people, or black and brown people. So, you know, this goes on in the world, and this false information. So as the people become educated and they begin to educate themselves, that Jah brought us up from the Afar, the, you know what I mean, that ruddy red dirt, that clay, you know, and that's where we get into the wordplay. We started to look into the wordplay with the linguistics concerning the Hebrew and the spirit, and then the pure language of the King of Kings as well. So let's go over here, down here, to what we were looking at before we get into this Torah portion, seeing that Balak, you know, being scared and worried. Israel, you know, they're numerous. You know what I mean? They're numerous. And as he said, they'll lick up all the grass around him. You know what I mean? Like, they gonna come up. You know, they're gonna come up all around him. He was worried, so hired Balaam to curse them, which Balaam said he cannot curse Israel, because there is no curse against Israel unless they corrupt themselves. So now let's look at the what we were speaking about, the Ethiopians in the respect of original creation. As we were saying, we do not deny the original race, their roots. So in that sense, in saying that one is racist, in that I'm telling the truth that we, the black people, the Ethiopian Hebrews, we the black peoples of the world, all the Jews, are from all the children of the Jews, are from the line of the tribe of Judah, or the tribe of Judah, the roots of Judaism or Hebrew, or what it is to be a Hebrew or Ethiopian Hebrew. You know, the truth of Hebraism. You know what I mean? In its roots, can admit that Jesus Christ is a black man, or that the roots are that it's black people. Because even bigger than that, it doesn't matter if you're truly in the faith of Abraham or you truly are in the faith of the Father. So going to look at this word, and this was one of the words that we did see here. I remember when we went and looked it up too. Matter of fact, at first, we'll go ahead and put in the word Adam at first. Looking at what kind of, because when they say King Solomon didn't understand it, you know, and King Solomon was the wisest man in the world, you know, except for a greater than King Solomon is here. QEDAMAWI, HAILE SELASSIE, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, give thanks and praise. Jah, Rastafari, yes I. So when we look up the word Adam, you know, and we take, let me see, I think we looked up the word Adam because, okay, ready, a human being. Now, the word here in the Hebrew, the way it's used, the word here in the Hebrew, Adam, like when we go to, let's see, we go to Genesis 2:19 in Amarinya, in the pure language of the King of Kings. And again, like we said, you should have the Royal Amharic, the pure language of the King of Kings. You want to have it handy with you when you're going over this information. When you digging into the roots and you learning the pure language, you begin to study and you start to understand what exactly it is that is going on, and what kind of games actually. And you know, whether they doing it on purpose, and those of them that are doing it on purpose and those that don't know better, it's still up to I and I or job people, you know, to study their roots, to trust their roots, and not just trust the Gentiles. You know what I mean? In their iniquity or whatever it is that they are doing, and the fulfillment of the Gentiles become in, because blindness in part is happening in Israel. So the truth is evidently clearly come forward. You know what I mean? So when that iniquity is full, Israel, that part blindness should be gone off of Israel. They obviously have a half truth. They have a half truth. But once that fullness come in, that blindness should be gone, and all should see the Son and the Father and the Holy Spirit for what it truly is. So as we go here, and as we said, we in the pure language of the King of Kings. And what was that? I think it was Genesis 2:19, because we want to look and see what was the word they had there for Adam, and see if it matches up. Igziyabihir, Amlak, Yemadir, of the land, Arawit, Tanina, Yesamai, with fortune, Hulu, Kemrate, Adareg, Bemen Sim, in the Metarachum, Yai, Zind, Wede Adam. Okay, so right here they match, and it is the word for Adam, like man, Adam, and then Tachu, Adamim, He Yahweh Nefes Lalu Hulu Besimu, in the Tarawe Samu Yahweh Horn, and out of the ground the Yahweh, the Adonai Ha Elohim, formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. Now this is interesting too, right here, where it says the Yemadir Arawit Nina, because there's times where it speaks of the blood of man, and then Now this right here speaking of the beast, the Arawit, the Arawi, the Arawi, the Arawit Tanina. And in parts of the Hebrew, they might just have that as Adam there. You know, so we know that they have for, let me see, for every beast they had Kai. There we go. Yeah. So, and that's interesting now. So here goes the Kai part where the Kai comes in. The Kai comes in. And the Kai is more where it signifies like that ruddy red. You know, like that almost like that scarlet, a scarlet kind of red. And if you pay attention to the Fara Aduma, you can also see that within the mistale of the Fara Aduma. You know, so now what we were seeing the word at is when we put in let me see. I think when we put in red in the Hebrew, we'll put in red. So remember we're studying the word Adam. We're gonna go and put in the word red. Put in the word red. Let's see what we come at. It's 1 and 9. Okay. We see how they do that. Wait, let's see. The real color red. Okay, this has red in every word. Oh, we forgot how they catch it in there. Okay, now let's go and let's look at it. We might have to look at it another way. Yeah, okay, here, I'll tell you what. We have to go here and put it in real quick. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's try red. Oh, red. Alright. Grab it. Okay, so maybe it didn't. Okay, we didn't get it though. We got it matching in the strong, so we're gonna come back. Let's see, and the eye is gonna go to this red, so you can see the differences when you study in the Hebrew and the pure language of the King of Kings, and you can see the differences where certain words are used, like for Adam, like during the birth of Esau. Like, let's see if we can go to that verse real quick. Because I think, matter of fact, in Amharic, in the pure language of the King of Kings, that's actually where it starts at. You know, the Kai. And that's interesting. Because the Kai is like the beginning of that red when you start to study the context of it. You know what I mean? The beginning of that red. But they wouldn't have that there just only in the Hebrew. Because they will be denying that original creation. You know what I mean? And that's a problem. That's a problem. If they have to deny it to the point of a lie or to make up things because they don't want it to be true that black people are the Israelites. You know what I mean? And that they would have to make those, you know, Pharaoh would have to let the people go. There would have to be those reparations so that the people will be able to serve their God in the wilderness. You know what I mean? To prepare them in preparations of getting them to their land. If not, there will be lightning, fire, thunder, and brimstone. Because the Lord has to defend his people. He can't, you know, once his people come to him in truth and they pray to him and they call on his name, they should be saved. He says that all that call on the name of Jesus Christus, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, in the name of the King of Kings, QEDAMAWI, HAILE, SELASSIE, shall be saved. So the truth is very, very important, and the word, the dabar, is the arrangement of the Ha Elohim. It's the law. The Torah is the law, so the word is the law. And that's interesting about Father Aduma, the Yehigu to Izaz, or the Kukat, the law of purification. You know, the original law. You know, the original law. And I like to call it, that's one of the sayings that I call it sometimes, original law, like respect the law of creation. You know what I mean? And the people have to too. That's why it's such a high cleansing or purification Torah portion, and then coming into Balak now. coming into black. So just that respect for original creation is part of the faith. You know, it's part of that sustained faith that Ha Elohim gave us. So let us find this place where we were speaking about this word, where we saw it here. And let's see, I'm gonna go down because there's a place where it began where it speaks about the birth of Esau, and we know that Esau was a dark-skinned black man. You know what I mean? He was also said to be hairy, but that he was dark-skinned. You know, and there was something interesting because in the Hebrew, when you look at it, it appears like almost like it's hidden. There's nothing there. The only thing that is there is like the word Adam, like rosy, like just for rosy red. But yet in the Amarenya, in the pure language of the King of Kings, it lets us know the Kai is there. You know, the Kai, like the first part, the original part. Now we see that they have Kai there for beast, but that is for, you know, like soul, like life. Like to say life in the Hebrew, they have it there for the beast or for the animal. But it doesn't give you the full perspective of it. You know what I mean? So when we get to the pure language of the King of Kings and we're studying the Hebrew with the Royal Amharic, we start to get the principle or the full spectrum of what the word is arranged or what it's saying, what it's truly saying, what has been established by the Almighty Ha Elohim, the Yahweh. You know what I mean? Like you said, little by little, you know, He's going to clean it up and He's going to bring it about to free His children or redeem His people out of captivity. You know what I mean? And this is our way of being redeemed out of captivity. It's that education. So as we said, let's look at the differences in the Hebrew and the pure language of the King of Kings. And what was that verse that we were looking for when, you know, we know that it was when Esau was born. You know, matter of fact, let's see. We had to put in another word for... let's see. And we'll find that verse now. Alright. Okay, where it speaks about. And the first came out red, right? And I think it was this. Was it this verse? Okay, and the first came out red, right? Admoni. Reddish. Where they had the reddish. Now in the Hebrew, this is interesting in the Hebrew, when we go to the Hebrew with that. But let me see if that was, let me see. Okay. We want to make sure that was a place that where they spoke about Esau. Now, if we go to Amarenya, you know, and we're going to put in here, okay, then the pure language of the King of Kings now. You know what I mean? Upgrading the level of education, you know, upgrading your level of education. So, okay, so there it is right there. Orit Zefiteret or Genesis 25 and 25. Now, what we're going to show you here is that now in the Amharic, in the pure language of the King of Kings of Bethlehem, you know, so in the face of Yahweh, this one that came is Kai in the Beret. Kai in the Beret. You know what I mean? Kai in the Beret. You know, so meaning that he was like that dark red complexion. Nebere hulentinawim tigur lebeso neber samum esawi tabal. So the first came out red. Now Kai, like I said, Kai represents, you know, that darker. Okay, let's go to the next one because we want to see where it lines up with the Hebrew. Now in the Hebrew here, where they have, let's see, so it wasn't the word for hairy, the word for red. Okay, it was the word for red, and then we go into Hebrew, and it should line up to a degree. Okay, it's 25 and 25, and then they have it again in 1 Samuel. And now he was ruddy, where it speaks about Dawid, you know, where it speaks about Dawid, King David, you know, through the bloodline of David, you know. Let's see. it says now he was ruddy, where it speaks about King David. Now King David being ruddy here, and when the Philistines looked back and saw David, he disdained him, for he was a youth and was ruddy. And again, so it has ruddy. Okay, so this that dark, the dark complexion. We know when it says that ruddy, the ruddy red, that he was dark complected. Okay, and the red, Esau, and it speaks about the Kai. So now what we're trying to see is all the places in the Hebrew here where it matches up with Kai, with Admone. But this is not the in particular word in perspective that we are studying here. This is actually not the word we was looking for. Let me see. Is it Admone? Okay, because it only comes up in about 3 verses. So let's go back to the Amharic for a second, the pure language of the King of Kings, and let's look at the verses. Okay, so 25 and 25, and it is First Samuel in there. Let's see. Yeah, First Samuel, because there's many other verses that the word is in. That in the Hebrew is different. Okay, so let's go here. Kai Fetelet. Okay, so now this is a good area to go to. What we can see here, it says, and it came to pass when she travailed that the one that put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound on a scarlet. Okay, so scarlet was shiny. You know, the crimson color dyed, you know, the scarlet, more purple kind of red. And this is where, now this also, you see, if you see Kai there, in Amharic, the word is Kai Fetelet. So the scarlet thread, Kai Fetelet, scarlet thread. Remember, so we were just looking at that in the same verse in the Hebrew. Now you see here, this is what we were speaking about before. We were speaking about that, you know, that root language bringing out more of that truth right there. That kai. Now in the Hebrew, it's not there, because remember that out of racism they were denying that type of. They were saying like it was like a rosy red or like a whitish type of red, but when we study the pure language, we begin to see the roots of what Jah is telling us, what the Almighty is telling us. Now we see the Kai there. And this was the beginning of this presentation of this type of code, So this was one of those codes right there. You know, give thanks to the Almighty. You know, Befetim Yawatawe Kai Nebere Hulentinawim Tegur Lebso Neber Samum Esawe Taval. You know, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And there was that Kai was there. Now, like we said, they had the word Admone there. Admone, which was the H119. Let's see if we can go to, okay. But this doesn't show H119 here. This show Adumin. Farra Adumin, you know, Adam. Let's see if we can go back to, fine, there we go. Cause oh, by the way, the code, what's the code for Adam? 9/11. Ain't that interesting? 9/11, the Ethiopian New Year. You know what I mean? But so, you know, the respect for original creation again. You know what I mean? The respect for it. Let's see where it lines up at now here with Adam. Because this was the Adam we was actually looking for, not Admone. Okay, so they come all the way to dyed red. Okay, this is interesting. When they get to the dyed red. So this is Exodus 25 and 25. And I think it does match up here with the Amharic and the pure language of the King of Kings. Let's see if we go find that in Exodus or read that. Okay, Exodus 25. Was it 25? You know, what was that in Hebrew? 25 and 5. Yep, there it goes right there. So 25 and 5. See 25 and 5. 26, 14, 35 and 7. So we remember that 25 and 5. 26 and 1. Look, so Amarinya got them one. See, this is why studying the pure language is so important, because we see the extras where it's mentioned that. So 25 and 4. So we know it's in 25 and 5. It's mentioned with the red in 25 and 5. The Kai. Remember the scarlet type, the darker red type. 25 and 4, which is a as we were studying it, we began to notice that it was the red is there, the bright red is there, but it's not without the Kai. It's not without the Kai. The Kai is the deeper or the darker part concerning the redness or the ruddy redness. It's not there without the Kai. So when we study in the pure language of the King of Kings, we see what the this part